Welcome back to the BOP, the BLERD official podcast. Like we said, we are doing 2 parts to Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Y'all know this movie. We've been waiting for this movie for 80,000 years. We finally got it.
Not 80,000.
80,000 years. Like,
80,000.
woo. Yeah, so I have to introduce my co-host. Guys, Hilton George, how are you? Christy, what you doing there? Hilton!
We don't have a producer, so this software is on automatic. We'll make the most noise, get the front row.
I'm running the show, and it's gonna have some glitches.
No supervision.
How are you?
Hey, we pick it up right where we left off. You know, we didn't go nowhere. Y'all went somewhere. Y'all in TV land. Y'all done came back.
We didn't even go to the bathroom. We didn't do
anything. No,
look, we getting rid of all our moisture and hydration talking. We
yes.
So we're still in the convo. I'm happy to be back.
Yes, I'm happy you're back. Christi Renee, how are you?
Again, still fabulous.
Yes.
Ready to continue the conversation because again, it's so much to unpack. So I'm glad we are continuing. We would never be able to, no matter what. Like,
no,
this is just one of those things that we will never be able to wrap up into, 59 minutes and 59 seconds. So let's continue. Let's get it. Let's part 2.
We need time. We need time to talk about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, our favorite movie of 2022. It was the perfect way to end Marvel's,
big year.
And it was the perfect movie vehicle to give us a taste of Phase 5. It was the Easter eggs in this movie are ridiculous. We're going to get to that. But last time we talked, we ended where, Angela Bassett, like we said, she gives one of the best performances of her life. This woman has been acting like this her whole career, but she hasn't had a vehicle like this movie to show the whole wide world how amazing our queen is. She has been our queen for years. But we had just talked about the big scene between her and Okoye, and her basically dressing Okoye down and saying down to the ground, and basically saying, I've lost my whole family, and you were supposed to protect my daughter, and you didn't. And I mean, every black kid, everybody and it comes from a house of color. We was all like,
oh,
put my cell phone punishment.
Why you do her like that? It's like when you get embarrassed in front of the school.
Don't make me come to that school in my curlers.
Basically, she came in her house shoes and her bonnet and let her have it. And man,
in front of the whole council, and the council ain't had nothing to say.
Yeah,
they was looking like, ooh,
yeah.
My God.
I mean, when Okoye put her spear in the ground, it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And
we know that this had to happen because you are going to get the Midnight Angels from this, which is you saw the suits, which are extremely comic accurate. Like they literally stepped outside of the comic wearing these suits. And so that vigilante group of Avengers, if you will, that are going to come from the Dora Milaje to kind of do all these black ops, which I think will be a part of the TV series is coming. It had to happen. She would never be able to do that as the general of the Dora Milaje.
Right.
And therefore she had to have this separation. It's starting a new chapter. So we're not going to not see, as you saw in the end of the movie, we're not going to not see her anymore. We're going to probably see more of her doing more stuff, kind of like we saw with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're going to be active. They're going to be moving around. They're going to be doing stuff that Dora Milaje might not be able to do on the books. And,
if the Dorma is in Wakanda having to protect the kingdom and protect the king, then we have to, the Midnight Angels is like, this is like a Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Thank you, God, for Disney Plus. Like the shows we're gonna get on Disney Plus. Like this Midnight Angels. I mean, just to know that it's going to be her, it's going to be Michaela Cole.
Let's just.
I mean, this is going to be powerful.
We just have to. We have to take a moment. You know, anytime I hear
girl.
Michaela Cole's name, it just makes me want to. We have to stop everything and just talk about the awe of her beauty and her grace and her biting fierceness. She is just incredible, and I love the position that she took in taking this role, being really a small, you know, it's a small role compared to what she, you know, could be doing, but she understood her assignment. She sees the bigger picture, and she understood her support was paramount.
Small to this, for now.
Yeah, but even if it never went anywhere else, I believe she really communicated how just to be a part of this epicness was enough for her. But again, we of course now we're going to be super fortunate to see her in, you know, more things and in this universe. So she's phenomenal. She's just beautiful. I love her voice. I love her face. I mean,
it was so like much. Really this movie, like I said, it's introducing us to so many other series that are going to pop off, which is Ironheart. It's introduced us into the Midnight Angels. It forecasted like what we're going to get in some of these other Marvel series, like, you know, Ant-Man and you know, it forecasted some of the things that's going to happen with Kang. It even went back, like we saw like in Lord of what was it in the Lord of the Thunder, the Lord of Love and Thunder. We saw that, you know, in Love and Thunder when we saw all those gods. I'm like, okay, wait, Lord of Thunder. I know I couldn't think. You know,
I was like, is she trying to say Lord of the Rings? Like, you just jump series on us. Like,
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
When we saw all those kings or those gods sitting together, and we saw the god from Wakanda, and we saw the god from Telecon, like, I mean, literally, I mean, we were getting Easter egg after Easter egg, but it's just so exciting. Like, I literally can't wait for Ironheart. I can't wait for Midnight Angels. I can't wait. I can't.
Ironheart will be out in August, and we have a really good sense of the cast. It's a shift for the comic book character. Riri Williams in the comic book is a protege of Tony Stark. And I think it's really appropriate and a really smart decision, especially with Tony Stark being dead, to have her come up under, you know, Shuri in Wakanda, because you now have this vehicle of higher technology. It wouldn't make any sense for her to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe coming up through the Stark Tower, you know, R&D department, when there's an active community and educational outreach that was started at the end of the Black Panther movie that, you know, has a mechanism to recruit. I mean, she was familiar with the process of being recruited. Like, am I being recruited by Wakanda? Like, as if that's something that people knew happened from time to time. It wasn't like she made that up in her head. She was excited because she thought that was what was happening, which technically it was, but it wasn't. And so it's a really, really cool thing that you're going to have this Black women, you know, centered, you know, power base, right? That's not going to be kind of in the backdrop of, you know, a world that is, you know, might have some misogyny and all this stuff that she has to deal with, that they're going to be able to do this on their own terms. And I think they're going to do it it's going to tell a better story because they will have the freedom to do it. So I'm really interested to see what they do with Ironheart, the series. It's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And you know what else it gave us some hints to was The Secret Invasion, which was the new show that's coming out on Disney Plus, where Samuel L. Jackson is going to be leading that up. But it also showed like kind of where, you know, possibly Everett Ross and possibly like some of these other characters we've seen in the past, but all of them coming up and finding out, like, were they really, you know, Avengers? Were they moles? Were they like, you know, I mean, it's just so like the things that are happening with Disney and Marvel and Disney Plus. I'm super excited. We never got to in our old episode, I'd asked for your favorite scene or favorite moment. I talked about mine, which was, you know, when Shuri takes the heart-shaped herb and she sees you know, Michael B. Jordan's character and it just the whole like realization of this is where I am with my grief, that he's the guy that's in my, ancestral plane. Like, this
Right.
isn't the one that I hate, the one person I don't want to be like. I'm possibly like him. I never got to you guys as far as, I think me and you, Christy, we shared in this moment, and we all obviously love this moment. But do you have another moment in this movie that you were just like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. This
Are
is,
you?
yeah,
Me?
you can go first. You can go first. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be real quick, and then y'all react to this. Of course, the very end, with little T'Challa, and the reveal of that whole story. First of all, that baby's dimples alone, I just want to climb in and you could just live right in his little dimples. But I thought that was pure brilliance to carry the story. And I mean, again, we can get so many different versions of T'Challa, because we can get a teenage T'Challa, we can get a little boy, and now we have his offspring, his one and only heir. And and just the whole concept of them protecting him and just seeing that all unfold. So I thought that was an incredibly endearing, again, tears just pouring moment. I mean, I was literally dehydrated leaving there, but
that scene ripped your guts out.
Yeah, I didn't expect it.
I didn't.
No, I didn't want to know. I saw so many spoilers trying to get posted, and I was like,
that's why I went that first day.
See, I gotta see it that first night. People gonna be talking. They're not gonna slip up on me. I said, I'm just gonna see what happens, and I'm like, oh, they back in Haiti, and they talking blah blah blah. Here come this boy, and I'm like, oh, they better not. Oh, they better, and then they did, and it was just like your whole throat, like everything all in your throat. You're trying to because he was just so. It was such a great casting job, to your point, Christy. It was just so the right young man with the right energy, which I can imagine would just be so hard to find, because you have to match that energy with someone who's no longer there. And like, okay, who could we put on the screen that would capture at least a sliver of his essence, so it'll resonate with the audience? They did in the look and in the performance, and he just had that energy, and he was just like, he knew who he was. And that is always across these movies, both films. Tell them who you are, show them who you are. It's all about, and even to the point where you can't even tell nobody who you are in Wakanda unless they ask you. Right? That's why Killmonger, could have walked in and out of that court and nobody would have known who he was, because he can't say who he is until somebody asks him. That's what Wakanda did. And so for us to have that who you are moment with this child, and just have that look in his face, and just that, he's like, yeah, I understand that there's tragedy and danger and war out there, and that's why I'm here. But I hear you know how to keep secrets. Like, I'm going to tell you a secret. Like, that's what a 5-year-old would do. Like, just lay that heavy stuff on you. So that was one of my favorite. My favorite scene. And this is from I'm going to take the comic book head turn over here, outside of myself and outside of the story, was the attack on Wakanda by Namor. Because that was every great movie has to have your hero doesn't meet their potential without a great villain. And there was a lot of things I was worried about with Namor's debut on the live action screen. And a lot of people were worried about them damn ankle wings. Like, how's he gonna look flying around on some ankle wings and not look ridiculous? Impossible. Right. He's got these little wings on the side. Like, how do you make that badass? And then you show how he's using them to kind of pivot and kind of stop on a dime and break the ankles on these airships. And he's got this pure Wakandan spear, and he's just cutting these ships in half. And if he had shown up on the screen and in his full glory, which he did for the first time in the Attack on Wakanda, and his costume wasn't on point, or his animation, all of that stuff was not on point. CGI, the CGI, all of that had to be on point, or we wouldn't have bought it. Right. He had to sell the threat. Like, why is this such an existential threat that even M'Baku, with a direct hit from his mace that he took onto the battlefield in Endgame, like, he went up against Thanos' troops with that mace, or Rook is what it is, that Rook, and first he take a swing and it shattered on my man's He didn't even like do a hard chop on it. He just like,
and it just, yeah,
and bam, like you know, so that alone, you know, him standing, you know, almost dejected on the beach when they're shooting, and all the other Talocanians are running, and he's standing there like, oh, they shooting, huh? All right, and then you see he's able to like even block the energy blast. You're like, oh my God, they have brought Namor to life, and they have made him the threat that we needed him to be in order for this movie to have the weight that it needed to have going forward. So every decision that was made. So when you see, you know, M'Baku telling everybody, yo, chill out. We can't just go after this dude. Right. We know now why he was like, pump the brakes. Like, I saw this dude firsthand. Like y'all wasn't there. I took a chest punch in the sternum and flew across the river. Like,
but you know,
so they did that perfectly.
To your point, though, when we talked about it, and well, when he first came on the scene, you know, in the film, we talked about it in the first show. I think they set it up so perfectly of him being so psychological, and the way he spoke, and the fluidity and the flow, and the just that quiet crazy that he was able to share. Like
not Joker crazy.
Not cuckoo
not
crazy.
Over the top.
Back here.
But kind of like a I used to reference a certain movie, like a oh my Lord, whatever the movie is. Oh, I can't think of it.
You're acting like me. You can't think of it.
I know, I can't. It's the movie with where the woman boils the rabbit. Oh my God, this is terrible.
Oh, you mean Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction. Yeah, yes.
That kind of psychological, just quiet, you know, again, it's a mind game. It's the mind screw. And he represented that so well. And then he gave us this also when he and Shuri were exchanging their stories and she was learning from him. I think they set him up so perfectly that he could have came in, child, and done anything. He could have just did nothing and it would have worked, because I was so drawn into his crazy.
Y'all. I think the women were a little more open.
We were so like,
and the brothers were, because we know that crazy dude, right?
He seduced the audience. Because like, think about it. When he brought Shuri into Telecon, he seduced us. She's sitting there thinking that this is great, and like Riri tried to warn her. She goes, "Don't you change clothes? If he makes you change clothes, you ain't seen that movie. You ain't seen that." Like, she's like, "Girl, you walked into a trap. He gonna do something crazy." And sure enough, he takes her in. She sees this magical world, and she's just looking, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing." And then they go back to where, you know, they're sitting next to each other, and he's talking to her, and he's like, "You know, we need to join forces and we need to destroy the world." And she's like, "Whoa, wait a minute."
He's like, "Yeah, this ain't even about the scientists no more."
Right. He's like, she's like,
everybody.
What you say? Like, wait a minute, did you tell me we need to destroy the world? Like, I got friends on that earth. Like I got homies that live outside of Wakanda. Like, I'm cool with like the Winter Soldier. You know, like, what's happening?
Imagine if Deadpool was there. He'd have been like, "Hold on, Thanos. Just hold on." Like, we've seen this movie before.
Well, see, Thanos don't want to destroy half of the life of the universe. He's talking about destroying everybody.
All of
He's like, everybody got to go.
All of it but us. Because we have the most power. We got the power. And it was like, and you saw her sitting there, and she was like, the conversation got real uncomfortable real quick. And he basically was like, "Look, either you do this or else you're an enemy too." And she just was like, "Oh shit." And then the next thing she knows, she's getting rescued from Nakia, and Nakia killing folks. She's like, no, don't kill him, because he done told me he gonna kill us.
He crazy, girl.
Don't be coming up in this man's house killing folks. Like, just take me and let's just go.
And
it was just
how crazy he was, and I think a lot of people missed this because I didn't catch it till the second viewing. Remember in the beginning, right, with the scene with the ship and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got this little landing staging area that he's got Shuri, and then with the pocket of air, and it's not that deep under the water, so it's not pressurized. But he's like, "I could take you." down to see Talokan. He said, and he just goes through all of the horrible things that will happen to you at that depth if you went, you're bubbling.
You'll never get to us, basically.
And then he just flips like Bugs Bunny. He's like, or you can wear a suit. We have suits. Like,
I got a suit.
Now here's the crazy thing.
Red flag.
Remember how he got that suit. He snatched a woman out of that suit at that depth.
Right.
In the beginning of the movie. So he's basically like,
I got
this
suit
that I killed somebody in.
Suit. I hope he dry cleaned that suit before he got Shuri.
We watched this two people die in the actual suit that he put Shuri in. And he didn't even mention it. He's like,
stop talking about my dude.
Four days ago, I murdered two divers in the suit. You want to throw this on real quick?
I love his crazy ass.
It fits you so well. Come on, let's go down. Oh,
Hilton is hating. Hilton hating. He trying to make us really think that he's super
he think he gonna turn us against him, but that didn't work with Michael B. Jordan. That ain't gonna work with Thanos.
Y'all sound like y'all like that toxic man's business going on. You ain't gonna get between. You don't understand our love.
You ain't gonna get between our love.
You got to understand him. Listen, you got to be really, really cute in them little shorts and them wings on your heels. You got if you
that we later know.
Okay, so listen. This is the funny story, right? It's not even part of the movie, but it's so funny that they did this. That they actually used the CG. They took the CGI to edit down his junk in the suit from you see the trailer.
It's
and
like
he working with the Tom Jones package, and then in the movie he kind of got the Barbie and Ken, Express Men's mannequin thing going on.
We want to re-release. Like, let's just do a whole new release.
Y'all want the Snyder cut?
They released those pictures for a reason. They released those pictures for a reason.
And all y'all women, look, y'all went crazy. I watched the comments, man. Y'all listen. I was in there blushing and clutching my pearls.
Not me. I didn't say a word.
And I'm just gonna say this: every time we saw me, it was soaking wet, and it was still working. I had to take it there. I had to take it there.
Pearl? I got a little pearl.
Clutch it, crush them.
Clutch the one pearl.
Crush them pearls. Them pearls don't belong here.
So I agree. I feel like they should have had, they should have had the gumption to let that man express himself and not try to edit the brown body.
Don't take away the glory.
You're right. Let's turn.
That's my one complaint. That's my one complaint.
That's a good way to pivot the conversation into who is taking away from our black and brown bodies. Like, don't be whitewashing our bodies.
Who made that call? Like,
we need names. Ryan Coogler.
We need names.
Ryan Coogler. Who made that call in the editing bay?
You're right. If there was one complaint, if there was just one criticism, that would be it.
You didn't get as much Namor as you wanted.
Obviously they didn't give him all to us. They only gave us a fraction.
They withheld. Yeah, they withheld.
Yeah.
They hating on Namor.
Real hate.
We're going down a slippery slope, guys.
I know,
so
right?
I'm gonna drag us out of this.
Snatch us, please.
I'm gonna snatch you out of the abyss because I feel myself. Y'all remember last time I had to let y'all know about Cap could get it. Like, y'all, I feel that coming on. Y'all know I got a 10-20 minute rant about Namor can get it. So I'm just gonna stop myself. I'm not gonna bring the show down.
I am actually concerned for some of these brothers out here that's gonna be cosplaying Namor. Out of these, like, because the fervor amongst the women in these convention spaces is like on 10 for Namor, and you come out here trying to you got your little Planet Fitness frame going. I ain't gonna give everybody gold. Everybody got LA Fitness now.
You got your Planet Fitness frame going on.
You're gonna be in trouble. Brothers is gonna,
your extra medium frame going on.
Your cosplay is not consent.
We're gonna take this time to
take a break
to take a sip from our BOP
our BOP cups,
our merchandise,
which Dana had made for us. Which, by the way, Hilton, I asked for your address, and someone did not reply to my question. I said, Hilton, send me your address. I had gifts to send you. I've got gifts for you. We have got BOP Plus or BOP merch.
I don't have nowhere to put my stuff. I need my BOP.
Your green drink could have been ready to rumble.
I just had to
break this looked like what they edited off in the morning.
Yeah.
I needed a diversion.
They took that off of
they edited it. This is what they edited off in the morning.
They said, move that out the way in them green shorts.
You know what?
We got to release the Snyder cut. Release the Snyder cut.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
my face hurts.
I know it's hot in here. Just the thought of it gets me blown.
There's gonna be some arguments at the dinner table tonight.
So taking us off the slippery slope.
Yes.
Obviously, obviously, Shuri got her warning. Nakia go up in there acting crazy, busting up Telecon and killing folks. And Shuri knows he's coming. He's coming. So they get back, and the scene where he attacks, the kingdom, and him and Angela Bassett are staring each other down. And he's like, oh, guys, I just was like, it was a lot. And we lost our queen mother. And the moment she's like about to come out of the water and she sees Riri drowning, and she knows, I got to save this girl. I've got to save her. And she goes back to save her. But in the process, we lose our queen mother. And just the panic that sets in when they run in the room and they're trying to resuscitate her, and they're able to get Riri to come up, to start breathing again, and they can't get her to breathe again. And Okoye and
I was
Shuri,
like, what is happening right now? I was so confused.
I did not expect.
I didn't expect this.
I didn't think the queen was going nowhere. I
thought we had lost enough from the first scene of the movie. Like, I was like, are y'all kidding me right now? We're gonna lose.
And now we're right back to the funeral procession.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was a lot.
I literally was in the movie like, no, this can't no, this ain't happening. No. And I was yelling at the movie, like, come on, Ryan Coogler and writers room.
Yeah, that was a lot. But I'm curious.
Big losses for big heroes.
Yeah, and Hilton, you may have insight in this. Was that, I'm assuming, I kind of went along with this assumption just to soothe myself, maybe. But I assumed that, this was already written in because that script had been written, before Chadwick passed away.
I think that was Chadwick's big loss. Yeah.
And that was going to be, that would be a shared loss for the two siblings. And so, I mean, once it's in, it's in.
There's probably somebody in the comments who's got Google that'll find an opposing opinion, because this was not a widely released leak.
It was,
it wasn't like the whole script came out. It was kind of like the leak was talking about the script, and it wasn't the script itself. But it did discuss that there was going to be a shared loss, and it could have been M'Baku, it could have been Queen Ramonda, it could have been Okoye, but the loss was going to have to happen.
Right.
And it was going to be the motivator for Chadwick's character of T'Challa. And then that was going to be kind of like the act 2 of the movie. But I don't know that they went so far as to exactly who would be the person that was going to be lost.
Right.
But I think it was a good bet that it would have been her in the original script.
And it's just smart. It's smart to not, again, I also took it as, it's weird in a very bizarre way. It almost allowed me to transfer my real hurt and sorrow, behind this real life loss over to this cinematic loss, so that I could then, again, in my grief, I could be like, and this is in the movie. And, and I know that Angela Bassett is alive and well somewhere, but it's almost like that transference of pain, and that allowed me to, again, cope and deal with everything else. And again,
Yeah.
but they don't let me live. It's very short lived, because then I get, gut punched, at the end of the film. So, and I go back to my original grieving of, oh my
Yeah.
God, Chadwick is gone. But anyway, I thought that was an incredible, confusing, like, oh my God, I didn't know what to think. I'm in the theater like, I can't take this anymore. I mean, I love this, but I was literally spent by that moment when she was gone.
And they
No, I
didn't pull any
agree.
punches with Namor as the villain either. I think for
Yeah.
Disney run property, I think they could have
Brutal.
dialed back some of the brutality, but
Yeah,
they did
they
not dial this
They
down
didn't hold
at
back
all.
at all. They
I mean,
did not.
and the cruelty,
Yes.
you are going to get the full Namor crazy. Like
Yeah.
he didn't kill her and then fly off and escape. Like he was standing there the entire
He
time
took
watching
the
them
thing.
try to revive her because he wanted to kill her. That's why he came. And if
Yeah.
she had woken up, he probably would have resumed his attack. But
Yeah.
once he saw that she was dead, he said, Shuri, now you are the queen. Bury your dead, mourn your losses, and I'll be back. Like,
Right.
and
Like
he
how
was just
brutal, like, whoa, yeah.
like thank you. Like, what do you like? It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like he was
Yeah.
they really allowed his character to go all the way down that crazy rabbit hole.
Yep.
Set him up that way.
Yep.
But you're right. It does kick in that second act, and it lights that fire under her. Which in that fire is where she discovers like the idea of using the bracelet to complete the DNA sequence, to get the heart-shaped herb, to come up with the strategy, to complete the the Midnight Angels armor, and do all of that stuff in rapid succession for the final fight. Which is epic, by the way.
Well, and it kickstarted everyone. Like even like Riri's character, she got her, her new machine that she was gonna fight in. Yeah, that scene like threw me for a freaking loop. And like you said, it was brutal. And it was like, if you love Namor, you hated him in this moment, and it was like he went and took the one thing that he knew what it felt like to lose. He knew what it felt like to not have a mother. And he was like, well, I'm going to make you feel the way I feel. And it just was, I was just like, how are we going to come back from this when I just fell in love with you? And now you do this to me. Like, how am I going to, like, but it
I've
was
been
like
defending you to my family.
It was one of those things.
You misunderstood. And then you go and do this.
Like, but the same thing, like, I love a movie that gives you a villain. Like, they gave us this in Black Panther 1, where it was a villain we loved to hate. Yeah. And now we love to hate this man. And I mean, it just, and I also like a movie that gives you big losses, where you, like, no one's safe. Like, you're going to kill off Angela Bassett. Like, who? Like, nobody is safe in any of these movies. Yeah. Like, anybody can go at any time. And when that happens, it's all of a sudden the stakes are raised, and you care more for the characters. You care more for everything. And you're like, I was rooting for them to figure out a way to get rid of him. And I mean, it was just, and that, like you said, that fight scene on the side of that ship and on, like, I mean, that was some like cinematic action master, like, what is the word? It was just masterful. Yeah. I don't even know. How do you choreograph that fight scene knowing you're going to be fighting on wires on the side of
it was brilliant.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And like you said, it just kickstarted everything, and it kickstarted her rage. It kickstarted, and they always say when you're in the midst of madness, there is always like, you're in the midst of madness, or you're in the midst of terrible sorrow, whatever, there's always like a fine line of genius. Mm-hmm. And if you can find it, because I always feel like a lot of these artists who, like, we've lost, or a lot of these artists, like, they're geniuses, but in that genius is madness. Like, so they're balancing. That's why we lose a lot of, musicians and actors to drugs and things. Cause I just don't think that genius, that mind, that madness that they have,
it overpowers.
It's uncontrollable.
Right.
Yeah. It's almost like the dark eventually outweighs the light.
Yeah.
And man, what a villain.
Yeah.
What a villain.
Yeah. You know, in hearing all of that, it's just really, and again, I avoided engaging in conversation with people, you know, on their keyboards.
Oh, they were terrible.
I had to go the other direction. I created my own bubble, my own little space, and I appreciated, you know, this film because it literally gives you everything. It runs the gamut of emotions. It has the range of everything that makes a movie epic. I mean, again, from the fight scenes, the choreography, the music, the writing, the depth and the breadth of characters, how we see the arcs happening, all in one film. I mean, this film is 2 hours and 47 minutes. So you get an opportunity to see so much and feel so much. And if you didn't, then you're just
Shame
wrong.
on you.
We ain't friends. It don't matter.
Check your emotion. Really something ain't right with you. Yeah,
you didn't go on the journey. Your pulse.
And they corrected, I think they corrected or put a finer point on some of the areas they might not have been as strong in the first film. Exactly. There's criticism about the CGI. There was none of that in this movie. Like all the CGI was so on point.
It really was. I felt like I was there, and I felt like
the lighting. The lighting was lit perfectly.
And the
there were people who were mad it was a little dark in certain scenes on the first one, but I'm like, this one was perfect.
And I think they took directly out of the comics. And if you watch some of the breakdown videos you might find on YouTube, you'll see like there's a graphic novel where there's this exploratory team that is exploring the depths of the ocean, and they are one by one getting killed by Namor, like a horror movie. Like, you know, like what's that on the screen? Oh, he killed, you know, he was going through and just murking people. There was no dialogue. There was no larger thing. They were just somewhere he did not want them to be, about to discover his land that he did not want uncovered. And they were just an innocent science team. And he went through that ship and that sub and killed everybody. And they never were heard from again. And there's a whole graphic novel of him doing it. And that scene was very dark. I mean, it was like really, really, really dark in the same way. And so they told the right story. They gave us all the right components. And I think that the reason why we love this movie so much is because when our heroes, come through on the other end, triumphant, they went through something to get there, right? You know, there is no victory without, even temporary defeat. And there is no heroes without a strong villain that is the threat, and that sense of loss, like you were saying, Karen. There is this trope amongst, superhero movies that nobody's truly dead and there are no real long-term consequences to your choices. And we are getting them in this movie in a way that we might not even get in some of the other movies. I think that's what gives it the grounding that the first movie had. The first movie was built on the death of T'Chaka. There's the death of a king who was very impactful to the story in a movie that he's not technically in. Right. Yeah. And, so you're having these people that are dying and not coming back and not being retconned back because it's a magic stone or dimensional shift. And this is the only movie really where that's going to happen. So I hope this kind of bleeds out into the series and bleeds out into some of the other stories that involve them because I think they set a really, really great precedent. They got a great cast. Everybody who is in these movie roles needs to be the exact same people we see in the series and the same people that are doing cameos in these other movies coming out because they are perfectly cast. And I don't want to see nobody switched out. Even the Comic-Con people. It was brilliant storytelling for them.
Laura,
just really, really, really well done. And it just it's so funny because you're seeing a new type of character in Namor. Yes. And you talk about an existential threat. Everybody's talking about Kang, and we will too. But
yes, we will.
Namor is there on Earth, like right now, and he is aware of what's happening on the surface world because he was very intimately aware about Wakanda opening themselves up and opening up these programs and making the world aware that they exist in all of their power. Yep. And he was like, now that's threatening me. So this guy's got CNN. He's got some kind of cable package that allows him to know somebody.
Y'all let Wakanda. Y'all let Thanos come in here.
Yeah, your next
now.
door neighbor, when your next door neighbor get roaches, you know,
Ooh,
in a townhouse or a condo,
they gonna
you're like,
infiltrate your
yo,
house very soon.
y'all
Oh
can
my
get roaches
God.
any way you want to, but them roaches starting to come over here, so I'm gonna need y'all to call
See, it's gonna be a
orphans.
problem.
It's going to be. I would
Oh
hate to have to
God.
come back here
Yes.
and
And I'd
have this
hate,
different
yeah,
conversation with
have
you.
this conversation with you. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? One thing I saw some like negative stuff online, and there's always like
What?
people were
No.
going into, they were going into, yeah,
Stuff on
they
me,
were
Christy.
going
What is
into the
going on?
sunken place of, because in the movie, what happens is that Namor and his people, like the Telecons, are attacking. They attack the ship, they kidnap Shuri, they do a lot of things that are public, and then obviously in the movie, the powers that be, the press, they blame the Wakandans. And so they're kind of building the story of like, this is why we got to take over Wakanda. This is why we've got to get all their riches. This is why we've got to take over because they're too powerful. And we're, and again, they're making us out to be the enemy, which we know that happens in life. We know
Right.
that Black America has gotten blamed for things, and terrible things happen to us, and people go, oh, who cares? But something, one thing happens on the other side of the fence, and it's like, oh, and it's just awful. But a lot of our people were having this whole conversation of like, just the race relations between the Mexican culture and Black culture, and how we can't seem to get along. And instead of them watching this movie and seeing how Namor and Shuri had to make the decision of, we need to be together because there's a bigger force that's going to come, and it may be this world, maybe the colonizers, it may be that world, or it may be something that's even bigger than that. It's going to come for us and come for our power. And it just disappointed me that
Yeah.
we could that they went into the sunken place, and it was like a mini like race war. And I was like, how did you get that from this movie? Like, this movie I thought it was so healing and so beautiful to see these two cultures come together, and to see these cultures celebrated the way that they were celebrated and written, and it was all so perfect. And people stuck on like one little negative thing and made it into a thing. And I saw like huge like debates on, Namor was right and da 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 da.
But
And I was just like, come on. Ooh, I was mad. I was mad, Hilton.
those are the ones who are so desperate for relevance that they will literally sell, their self-loathing, online, for likes, for comments, for commentary, for just any ounce of attention. And it doesn't amount to, right. It doesn't amount to anything. It holds no weight. There's no merit behind it. Again, your opinion is like a booty hole. Everybody got one. Most people do. So it doesn't, it doesn't really, it doesn't make it fact. But some of those people, that's why I said a moment ago, I created my own little space because I already knew. Because I remember when the first film came out and somebody tried me instead of trying Jesus or they mama, and tried to tell me Wakanda's not real. So I don't understand why you're so excited. Let me tell y'all.
You called in an airstrike, didn't you?
We've been at the heart of invention, technology. We just haven't gotten the credits.
I was like, well,
yeah, they tried. They should have tried Jesus.
So see, right. that debate I expected.
They chose violence.
That's the debate that I expected when the first one came out. I totally expected that to happen. That the people who trace their heritage back to the Northern Europe who aren't excited about the portrayal of Asgard. It was like, no, this was this was us who were like trying to kind of poop on this whole idea of Afrofuturism and its value in our self-identity and our creative space. But what I was really kind of disturbed by was the misogynistic debate that was happening with Shuri being cast or purported, because it's before the movie came out, with her being the Black Panther. and how I think it was a lot of the energy behind this recast T'Challa debate came from that. Not everybody, but a lot of it did. They didn't want the lead to be a woman. And this idea that somehow, well, you already got the Dora Milaje, and you already got King Ramonda, and you already got all these, and they somebody even said there's no powerful black men in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And I'm sitting there like, Mbaku's sitting right here. Like, what are you talking about? Like you know. And so that whole debate, that armchair quarterbacking is what Christi said. These are folks that, you know, they're going to just take a contrary opinion because they want to have a debate. They want to be relevant. I did not create a bubble. I went out into the field and was swinging at everybody.
Go ahead. Take it for the team,
you know,
baby. Take it for
and I was just like, you know, look, y'all would have cast somebody, and everybody was always the same three brothers. They like, oh, it should be Michael Jai White, and it should be, you know, this dude who knows really good kung fu that I'm a big fan of, does stunts and da. And I'm like, no, because y'all would have hated him. They would have cast somebody that wasn't, and you would have compared him to Chadwick Boseman, and that would have been your criticism. What you really are saying is that you don't want a woman to be in the lead role as Black Panther in this movie. That's what you're concerned with. And you, this whole argument of these other people that you just throwing these names out about, I'm like, none of these are serious suggestions. These are not people that anybody is interested in seeing, you know, in a movie like this.
Because they'd be in a movie like this. If that
they would already be in a movie.
Really,
Listen. I'm telling you, Black folks want Michael Jai White to play everything.
No,
they want him. They want him to play Blade. They want him to play. I like him too. But he's one brother. He's one brother.
But
he can't be everything.
It was almost like Chadwick Boseman. Like, it was like the seeds were planted for him to be Black Panther. Like, literally, he was
James
like
Brown,
it was like
he
all
was Thurgood Marshall. He was, you know, all of these characters.
It was the actor, and then like the fact that he could be in a fight and be in a physical, like an action movie, was just the icing on the cake, because they could have doubled him and we would have never known.
Right.
But the reality was we needed an actor who would be transformative, who would take us into these places, and like he created a king for us to love, and we will love forever. And I was so happy. I know you guys have brought this up already, but that end credit scene where, you know, when Kevin Feige had first said, we are not going to recast T'Challa, and everybody was pissed, and everybody was like, woo, and just like so angry, and like there are so many T'Challa stories that are never going to happen, and blah blah. And little did they know that they were planning to, you know, give T'Challa a son. You know, him and Nakia had a son secretly, and we were going to get this in the end credits, and we were going to see this boy that had all the hope and everything that Chadwick, you know, all those, the beautiful smile, everything that he had, he gave us that feeling. And for us now, we're dreaming of all these T'Challa stories that will happen, but it'll be his son. It'll be, you know, T'Challa's son who lives out these stories.
And don't forget, you know, with this multiverse storyline that's coming in, you know, we're liable to see all different kinds of versions of our favorite heroes that come from slightly different dimensional worlds that are, you know, adjacent to the world. This is world 616 in the comic book world. And so there's that, you know, I mean, think about it this way. The whole premise behind, you know, Kang and is the fact that there's thousands of him, because there's thousands of different timelines with thousands of different Kangs. And that's why I'm so excited about, you know, this character being able to come in. But with every Kang comes in a whole new universe of heroes and villains and stuff that has bred their own Kang, who's trying to take over all the other universes. So if there's a different Kang, then there's going to be a different T'Challa or no T'Challa. And so we're going to get a Black Panther in a suit at some point that someone else is in the suit. And it's not necessarily going to be a 15-year-old, you know, advanced age, you know, heir to the throne. It could be, you know, any number of things. So that storytelling device is there. And I think people know it. But again, they're not mad about not having T'Challa. They're mad because there's a woman in the suit. You gotta, it's all tethered back to that. And if you keep that in mind when you're arguing with somebody, You say, okay, like everything I'm saying, you already know. You're not complaining about any of these other properties where someone has either died, retired, or moved on. No one's mad that did we have this kind of blow up when Captain America said, I think I'll stay in 1952. No, there was no rise up. No one. Who's going to take on them? Like,
well, they were mad about,
well, they were mad who got the shield.
They were, but then it goes back to what they're mad at. They're mad to see a black man.
What are you really mad at?
Captain America.
Listen,
Captain America and a woman.
A black woman being. Yeah.
If Loki can be a crocodile, then we can have an animal or something be a.
I got to do my copy.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
I got to do my copy on that. Like,
so and they've given us the glimpse of that. Like Loki gave us the glimpse, and then the Doctor Strange and the multiverse. Like, I mean, they let us know this is
Spider-Verse in the Spider-Verse.
Oh, the Spider-Verse is going crazy with it. You just can't wait.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah. Well, guys, this has been an amazing conversation. I know we could talk about this movie for 80 days and 80 nights. And I still
won't stop.
And I just like this movie when that Rihanna song came on at the end and they did the montage. I was no good. No good. Every time I hear that Rihanna song on the radio, I tear up. Like I literally am like, I can't. Like that is my kryptonite right now. That Rihanna song.
Because you know what it represents, and it's just remember seeing the trailer for the first time. I feel that I get chills every time I mention it. It's just that feeling. It is so, again, it runs deep, and I think it requires a certain mindset and a certain sense of attachment and connection to something that you feel that is bigger than you. You know what I mean? So the people who don't connect to this. Again, this ain't for you. We ain't talking to you. I don't know you. And
you need to feel this. You need to feel this.
Hilton, what you were talking about earlier about, the arguing with people and they would say whatever, I'm going to say this. Or the people who I guess who are mad about, Black Panther not being recast or being a woman and all of that shit. I'm going to say something that I even did a TikTok on this and said, I ain't arguing with nobody Harriet Tubman would have shot. So that's why I created the bubble. I had to retreat because I was like, if I start arguing this time around, and now we're dealing with real death, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm real sensitive to that, and I was like, let me just. I'm gonna let Hilton go out here and take it for the team. And
Hilton, I applaud you because I was watching you and I was like, "That's a good point." Yeah, bring it on home, Hilton. Bring it on home. But I didn't have the energy.
I was like, I can't comment.
Bandwidth. I couldn't make sense out of nonsense.
Because I was like,
I'm
gonna lead with.
I'm
gonna lead with your mama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm already
started. You'll start from the mama and work back.
And then walk. And
you like Namor? You gonna start with the mama and then say, "And I'll be back."
And I'll be back.
I'm gonna let you mourn, but I'm coming back.
Yep.
See.
Yeah.
Christi,
I'm real protective.
I'm not gonna argue with someone Harriet Tubman would have shot.
I'm not.
Like she said that.
I'm not. I
think that's my new motto in life.
It is. I'm telling you.
Not gonna argue with someone Harriet Tubman would have shot.
I'm gonna send you my video so you can be like.
I need that on a t-shirt. Lord. We need t-shirts.
I know, right?
Come on, man.
You can't send her to New Hampshire with that. Karen.
With Harriet Tubman like
that.
Y'all know listen. You know the shirt that I have on our promo. I'm getting off the plane with that shirt on. The blackest one in the room. Y'all get ready now. I know.
Just let them know.
It's 1.9%, but we raising it up as soon as I step foot on land.
Guys, you know what? I love you. We love you. We mean it. We hope you have a happy holiday. We hope that life is great. Happy New Year. I don't know when this episode is going to play, but whenever it does, this applies.
Right.
We love you. We're so happy you joined us for our walk through Black Panther Wakanda Forever and ever and ever and ever. Oh, it gave me everything. And like Christi said, if you didn't walk out of this with the feels, go somewhere and talk to somebody, because you need to check your pulse. Because you need to feel this movie in every way possible. And I hope you walked away inspired and energized and just cathartic, all those things, like I did. Like I could not, I needed a moment of silence phenomenal. After this. Yeah. Oh, phenomenal. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye. Tune in every Tuesday for a new episode of the BOP, the BLERD official podcast.